Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Meyer, and I am so glad you decided to join us for Rise Up 2020. I heard someone say the word for 2020 is pivot. And isn't that the truth? With COVID, the subsequent lockdown of our country and the world, the political and social unrest, the fires, the floods, I could keep going, but you get the point. Our world has been turned upside down. And like it or not, we've been thrown into unprecedented times with no roadmap to follow. It has required faith, trust, patience, grace, but especially flexibility for all of us. With social gatherings still in an interesting in-between space, the team at NOMORE decided to take this year's annual event and pivot. By making the event virtual, we knew that we could reach as many people as possible to share about where we've been, where we're going, and the growth we have experienced in spite of the circumstances that have surrounded all of us. So many of you have helped to make it possible to serve and mobilize many people to care for the vulnerable. God is moving, and lives are being changed through the work of NOMORE. And we're so excited to get to spend this time with you. Whether you are gathered with a small group in someone's home, or sitting around the kitchen table with your family, or watching from your cell phone or mobile device, I want to personally welcome you to Rise Up 2020 as we come together to stand for the one. All we're asking is for 30 minutes of your time. You're going to hear from the founders of the organization, Jamie and Tammy Kent, along with some amazing stories from ministry partners and individuals that have been impacted through this work. And to kick it off, take a moment and watch this quick video highlighting all that has happened in 2020. Isn't it amazing to know that God is in control and His job is the outcome? I'm so excited to be joined by Jamie Kent, CEO and co-founder of the NOMORE Foundation. Jamie, NOMORE celebrated 9 years in July, right?
Yes, we did.
What an accomplishment. I'm sure everyone that just watched that video is probably thinking the same thing I am right now. Wow, just wow. What a testimony to what God has done and will continue to do through the work of No More.
Honestly, there are so many stories of lives changed and impacted. It really is a testimony to the faithfulness of God. And this year looked nothing like we had planned, but as a team, we're truly humbled that we get to be a part of what God is doing.
Jamie, I've had the privilege of watching this work of No More grow over the last 9 years. But there are those who may be hearing about you for the very first time. Would you take just a minute and share with them the heart behind the why?
I'd love to. Really, two things that come to mind when I think about that, the heart behind the why, is this. The first and foremost is for the vulnerable. It's for the least of these. It's what Jesus said in Matthew 25. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. It's for the child who's been removed from their home and is in foster care, for the woman who's enslaved, or for the person that finds himself in poverty, and people that just feel hopeless in general. That's always been a heart of ours, is to be a part of making a difference in their lives. But secondly, the heart behind the why of what we do, it's you. We do this to help connect you to care for the least of these. That's what we're all about. So that you realize there's a purpose for your life. A story that comes to mind for me is that I lean on a lot is in 1 Samuel chapter 14, where Jonathan, the son of a king, wakes up his armor bearer. And he says, the Philistines are at our footsteps. Let's go pick a fight. And his armor bearer says something that I cling to a lot. He says, do all that you have in mind. I'm with you, heart and soul. He chose to step in to care. He chose to step in and do something that was audacious, that was outside of his scope, but he chose to become a warrior on that day. And so I always think about you. I think about you, the individual, and how you can stand up for the one. And helping you to do that is our privilege, our honor, and what we desire to do every single day is to help you get into the battle, help you run to the battle, to stand for the one, to declare no more orphans, no more slavery, no more poverty, and no more hopeless. You can be the difference.
My plan was, well, I'm going to get pregnant, right?
Yes.
I'm going to get pregnant and then we'll adopt. But we can foster. And he goes, and what did you tell me? No, we're going to adopt.
We knew we wanted kids. We didn't know what that looked like, but it wasn't happening. We weren't too intense about trying, but shortly after that, we realized, well, something's not right. So we're going through that process. We were ready and willing to do something, but we had no idea what that looked like, whether that was fostering, adopting, and that's where the event helped us kind of direct our paths. We went to the No More Orphans event to get more information because we didn't know what our next step would look like, and they pointed us in the right direction, so we were able to make a phone call and get some classes set up and get our training taken care of so we could take the next step.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of information, things that we had no idea what it would truly look like to step into this role. In that same year, we adopted 2 girls, and shortly after that, we found out that Lauren was pregnant.
In the same week that we adopted the girls.
What do you mean you're pregnant? You just adopted 2 girls.
Yeah, so we went from 0 to 3 in a year and a half, really. So Michelle, the Welch family, we met through our church. It was she's a leader for a women's ministry. Michelle and I had built this friendship and communication where I knew that we could call anytime. And she happened to call me one day and said, there's a baby coming to my house. It's the first placement she's gonna get.
I was feeling a stirring and a tugging at our heart, knowing that they weren't called to adopt this boy. And we have built a very big relationship with them. And I just said, God, if this is to be our child, have him call me daddy. He didn't talk at this point. And it's just typical asking God to do, the impossible, which I knew he could do anyways. But I'm like, maybe he's not ours and he doesn't talk, so I have a pretty good chance. And so they went outside to wave goodbye, and I came out as well to say goodbye, and then he turned around and called me Dad. I said, oh, gosh. But I knew then that he would be our son. I would say, if you're feeling anything, that tugging on your heart is there, the stirring in your soul is there, and you know that you have to step into something, but you don't know what that looks like. And that can be fearful, but that's where No More stepped in and helped us out and gave us the tools to go in the right direction.
It wasn't our idea. It wasn't our thoughts, but our family was created by God. We're the K's, and we're choosing to stand for the one.
I've been a ministry partner with No More for many years with an outreach ministry that I have going into the strip clubs. And now I'm just so blessed to be on staff of No More as the anti-trafficking director.
And I'm Barbara New. I may have met Tammy and Jamie separately, but as far as them representing No More, it was the 27-hour prayer vigil for the 27 million enslaved peoples throughout the world. And I knew right away that this was a ministry that was the real deal for human beings and not just something on paper that, you know, but that night I just knew this was real. They had people on their heart and they had a plan that I was so happy to get behind.
Because all of the things that No More represents, the 4 pillars, no more orphans, no more poverty, no more slavery, no more hopeless, the way in which they engage people to get involved with the work that they are doing, and that they truly are collaborative. Oneness is that word that describes No More to me.
So good. That unity that demands the blessing.
In our outreaches into the strip clubs, No More was always there providing gifts and roses and Easter baskets to the women and their children in the clubs, and just always being there, always in that anti-trafficking space, working with local safe homes, gathering volunteers to help them renovate the homes, mulch, pull weeds, whatever was needed. No More has made a tremendous impact, and in the way that they do bring the community of volunteers together to impact change in the community.
I have a strip club ministry as well. And this past July, we got, in the middle of the pandemic, we got bags filled with all kinds of snacks and goodies and resources for children and toiletry items and everything. Plus, the team there, they made these cards, and on the backs of them, I'm looking at like 30 people writing down little prayers that are going to go, you know, to the individual dancers, and their reaction to, thank you for not judging me. You know, thank you for not having an ulterior agenda, even though we do. Come on, we do. We want them out of there. We want them saved. We want them on fire for the Lord. But the initial thing is to come in there and love them and establish the relationship with them, you know, and not come as others have come with judgment and you got to change before I'm going to love you and all that.
Go to the No More website and look at the 4 pillars for what we stand for what No More stands for. No more orphans, no more slavery, no more poverty, no more hopeless. And pray about each of those areas and see what God tells you. And just follow through, be bold enough and courageous enough to follow through what God is telling you to do.
It takes a citywide church to defeat a citywide enemy, and that is what No More does. The churches have wanted to get together, but we didn't know how to get out of our 4 walls to do it. And No More has opened that door wide open for churches to come together to support parachurch ministries like ours. And then it gets the church involved in the ministry that is going to bring a blessing that's going to surpass the cursing in that city. I'm Barbara New.
I'm Dottie Groover Skipper, and I choose to stand for the one.
It's amazing to see how in the midst of a year filled with uncertainty, God brought life, hope, healing, and redemption. We've heard about the ministry that's already happened this year, the heart behind the why, and now it's time to talk about where we're going. I'm so excited that we're joined by Tammy Kent, who's going to share some exciting news about what's coming up. Tammy, as you look to 2021, what's on the horizon?
Thanks, Eric. I would absolutely love to. It's crazy to think that this year is almost over. For all the unknowns we've experienced, there's an expectation and an anticipation building for what God has in store as we look to 2021. And the only way I can describe it is like I feel like we're getting ready to be shot out of a cannon. It's a crazy visual, but it's what I got. So where are we going? That can be summed up in one word: expansion. Who would even believe that in a pandemic year, we would be seeing growth in every area? What does that even look like? Well, first, through the No More Orphans experience, we are bringing people close to the heart of God, close to the heart of the need of orphan and at-risk children in the foster care system, and then giving tangible next steps for them to get involved. Since 2012, thousands of people have been moved to Action to Care. And this year, in addition to the 3 live events here in Florida, we will be hosting at least 5 virtual events across the state. And there are plans for more as we continue to grow partnerships, both in the state of Florida and across the country, to expand our reach. As you saw earlier, from our June event alone, 5 families completed the steps necessary to be matched to adopt children through the foster care system. 5. People, that's an incredible testimony, because those 5 represent lives and futures changed. And we want to see that replicated in communities across the country, and we won't stop until it happens. In December, we'll be hosting our 5th annual Gathering Joy outreach to make Christmas possible for children and families in need. The gifts are hand-delivered, and last year we bolted on service projects, making it possible for volunteers to serve families assisting with minor home repair, yard work, and more. Every year we bring on new church partners and new organizations to help the sport, allowing us to expand and serve more children. This is about so much more than a present. It's about making it personal through a word of encouragement, prayer to let each one know that they are seen and that they matter to God, to their community. And as we move into 2021, I'm so excited to announce that No More will be expanding our anti-trafficking outreach efforts in the greater Tampa Bay area, wrapped around the Super Bowl. Partnered with 4 national organizations fighting human trafficking, we will be mobilizing close to 1,000 volunteers to blanket our city with one goal in mind: to rescue those who would be brought to our city to be bought and sold on our streets. And what do we say to that? No more. At last year's Super Bowl, through the work of these organizations, over 30 missing women and children were identified and rescued. And with your help, we are believing God to do that here in our city. And that leads me to my final bit of exciting news for where we're going in 2021: capacity building. In the past 12 months, 152 victims of trafficking were turned away from receiving the help they needed because there simply weren't enough beds and services to support them. This story is repeating in every major city, and we are committed to change that. And it starts with working with our partners on the front lines to help provide 2 more homes with an additional 16 beds and give them the services they are desperately in need of. Did you know that there are only 54 beds across the state of Florida? We can do better. We must do better. And with your help, more women will be rescued, redeemed, and restored. And through capacity building, that is going to happen. And the Tampa Bay area will no longer be known for the darkness of human trafficking, but instead will be seen as a beacon of light and hope and restoration. That is where we are going. And that is how you can get involved in helping us see God do a work here.
When I think about the work of No More and the impact that they have around our nation, around our country, to me, that's eternal impact.
I support the work of No More because they are one of the most innovative, practical Christian ministries that I know of.
Both locally and internationally, and I think that that's so incredible to me about this organization.
it truly adds significance to my life to know that a child has access to education, to families in Haiti who have food and resources and a home, and to know that women are being rescued out of trafficking.
I love that No More is not only meeting so many of these needs directly, but the fact that they're also practically equipping and empowering the church to be what we're supposed to be, the hands and feet of Jesus, caring for the least of these in his name.
On top of that is their transparency. You know exactly what they're doing, exactly where the money's going. There's none of this concern about am I putting my money where it's going to be most effective or it's going to meet my values. It's absolutely a great organization.
And so I'm just forever grateful to have been able to play a small part in such a big vision that No More has. So I'm grateful.
So the question for you in this moment is simple. Will you choose to rise up and stand for the one? You've heard where No More has been and what they've accomplished in 2020 in the midst of this global pandemic. You've heard where they're going, a national movement, increased growth, expanding awareness to help and rescue, and capacity building so that no more victims have to be turned away. Everyone watching, you can be a part of making that possible. And together, we can declare no more. Together, we can stand for the one and say, not on my watch. No more slavery. No more orphans. No more poverty. No more hopeless. No more. So I want to ask you to take a minute to think about what that might look like for you. What's the value of a life? What amount of time, what resources, what would you be willing to give to see a life changed? Is it possible to put a price tag on freedom, on a forever family, on a future? Could you give $100, $500, $1,000, $5,000 so that one might find freedom, so that one might find a family, so that one might find hope for a future? It's pretty simple. You can give a one-time gift now, or you can choose to give monthly. You can even start a crowdfunding campaign on Facebook. Jamie, is there anything you'd like to add?
So how do you stand for the one? Let me give you some really practical ways that you can do that. Yes, you can certainly give to the work of No More, and we would welcome that, but maybe that's not the place where you're at right now. But I want to encourage everyone to do something. And you can start simply just by going to the website and signing the pledge to stand for the one, making your voice be heard. And when you do that, we have a generous donor who's already given $1 for every signature. So sign the pledge and go above and beyond and share it with someone else to do the very same thing. That would really help the work of No More. But also too, we want to help you connect to care. So sign up to volunteer. You can do that on our website too, right now. Go sign up to volunteer and we'll help get you plugged in so that you can stand for the one.